Hello, and welcome to another episode of Community Conversations. Remember Rappin' Duke, Da? You never thought hip-hop would take it this far. Well, hip-hop has taken it 50 years, and today, in honor of hip-hop's 50th anniversary, I'm joined by Laurel resident Jimmie Thomas, one of the founders of Curators of Hip Hop. Jimmie, tell us a little about yourself and the organization.
Yeah, so Curators of Hip Hop, we highlight all the elements of hip hop internationally. Really, the first five main elements, which is dance, graffiti, DJing, MCing. And with the fifth element is knowledge. So we tour colleges with the fifth element. Yeah.
Now, speaking of knowledge, you told me you work a lot with the youth in the community. So how do you spread hip hop knowledge to them? Absolutely.
So we teach STEAM in Baltimore City under the umbrella of the Media Rhythm Institute, where I was saying we tour colleges. I took an artist. I used to take artists with me from this area. So DC, Virginia, Maryland to tour. So I took this particular artist to 8 cities in 7 months. So we went from everywhere from Florida State University, Florida A&M to Syracuse University in Flint. And on our way back, he was like, hey, let's do business together. He was teaching youth how to create music, and I was teaching youth how to use the cameras because I'm a filmmaker. And we created the Media Rhythm Institute. And now that was in 2017. We're going strong and we're in the school. So with that, it's similar to the main elements. What we teach is dance, DJing, in our outbound program, audio engineering, and how to write music, channel media, everything that everyone is doing in here, except for the prompter. And then we have a graphic design program.
Oh, wow. So hip hop is turning 50 this year.
Birthdays was the worst days. Now we sip champagne when we thirsty.
I'm not going to ask you how old you are, but do you remember what age or what was the first couple albums that made you fall in love with hip hop?
Hey, so I'm going to start with, I'm from the South. So, you know, my music intake dealt with things that was going on in my community. And my uncles were young too. They were like teenagers when, you know, pretty much raising me like they sons. So I would listen to their music. So
the South got something to say.
The South got something to say, but before the South got something to say, they didn't care what they was saying because it was how we were communicating in our communities, right? So you talk about Jam Pony, JT Money, Luke, you know, UGKs, the, you know, Scarfaces, the, you know, the staples and the OGs, or, you know, the veterans within the Southern hip hop genre. That's what I was raised on. Trick Daddy, of course, I'm from Florida.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting how regionally hip hop is because, like you said, the South has its own sound to it, but there's also like West Coast with their Bay sound. You know, you got E40, Tupac, a lot of those. But then also New York rap is very influenced by New York rappers. And I think we can owe a lot of that to Jay-Z, who came out and ushered in kind of like a new generation of what it was to be an MC.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would agree. I think, you know, it's just like lingo, right? So right now we're in Laurel. So we're in between two major metropolitan cities. We're Baltimore and DC. I go to Baltimore, you know, you got a different lingo. Like the kids are saying do, to. Mm-hmm. Their dance is Baltimore club. You go to DC, you know, Yo, Mo, and their dance is go-go or beat your feet. You know, so hip hop is really a representation of the culture of the state and the city and the town that it's in. Mm-hmm. And people migrate towards that. So sometimes, you know, I remember being back home and dudes used to wear Timberlands. Like, yo, it's hot. We not wearing no Timberlands down here. What you doing? He was influenced, or she was influenced by New York. you know, style, rap, lingo, and just the way people move. Yeah.
Definitely. I definitely wanted a pair of Timbs growing up. Even like the Run DMC sneaker with the big ton. I'm like, where am I wearing this to? I didn't care but that's just one of those things where it's like, you don't know where it came from or where it originated from, but you see it, you like it, and you kind of latch to it some type of way.
Yeah. Think about that, right? It's the moxie. It's the courage to be yourself, right? Nobody wore Adidas. You know, they were wearing like really way back in the days, Converses, and then, you know, what Run DMC was able to do with Adidas was just turn that company into a multi-billion-dollar company, you know, by wearing their clothes the way they wear it with the fedora hats. You know, as young people, nobody wore fedora hats rapping, but they did. And they wore their sneakers untied or laces big, and then other people, you know, did it, you know. So hip hop is the cool kid when it comes to the music industry.
So transitioning from that just to it being a universal thing, we're going to switch gears and take it more local. Can you talk to us about some of the work you've done with local artists and just local artists you've worked with here in the DMV? Yeah,
so, you know, I'm a filmmaker. We will highlight local artists in this area, do vignettes and put them on our website, Curators of Hip Hop, but not only local. What we really will feature is artists that have meaningful content and were super dope. You know, so not just in this area, but also in other areas. But particularly in this area, we've worked with several artists. And one most influential artist that we work with from this area, we did a documentary called The Curators of Volume 1, A Story of Independence, which follows the journey of two artists for 4.5 years until one of them signs to a label, right? Because a lot of people think when you sign to a label, you made it, but really you just took a loan. Like, you just took a loan from a label. And, you know, if you're not doing good business, then you don't understand what that means. And you could have went and got one from a bank from a lower interest rate with your income, being able to do that. But the artist that we follow was Pre from Hawaii and Logic from here. So we met Logic the week before he moved into a basement, Lenny's basement, that he met at a show. And for me, I knew he was going to make it because he had the talent, one. Two, you know, he had the determination to pursue his music career no matter what. Like, no matter what. Imagine moving in somebody's basement that you met at a show last week because they said they'll give you opportunity to stay here for a year to build your career.
Basically by a homie of mine. We got together, we used to kick rhymes and stuff. And, you know, he let me to listen to some Wu-Tang. It was a rap after that. Like, I left home when I was 17.
Now, he was able to do that. And I knew that he wanted it so much because what he was saying, how he moved, and just like we turned our interview into like a half a day, you know, with him and Lenny just chilling and just really picking their brains. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to follow this kid because he only had one music video at the time. So we usually highlight people who are working a little bit more and have more videos. But he had something different. And the reason I knew, you know, he had the potential to make it is because I'm from Tallahassee. I grew up with T-Pain. T-Pain was in the group of probably about 5, 6 other people called the Nappy Heads. You know the Nappy Heads?
Yeah.
You know the Nappy Heads?
I can't name a song, but I definitely, he shouted them out several times.
For sure, right? So the Nappy Heads was a group of 5, 6 people. We all from the same community, but he was the only one to make it out of that group. And it was because he was living in a house that was ran off a generator. He was producing music in there. You know, he was recording people. He was holding CDs and not CDs at the time, records for DJs, right? You know, so Logic had those same potentials. Like, how bad do you want it?
Yeah, he was hungry. So similar to T-Pain, I know a lot of the artists I follow, it's like they start off with a group. Like, I know Nicki Minaj was in Hood Stars and Lil Wayne was with the Hot Boys with Juvenile. So it's funny seeing how, you know, it just takes that one person in the group to really elevate the whole, you know, agenda that they got going on.
Yeah, absolutely. And I like your taste of music here. These are some classics.
Yeah, I mean,
which one is your favorite?
My favorite? That's really hard to say because they each honestly will mean something different to me.
Yeah.
Being from Detroit,
Mhm.
first of all, I wasn't even really allowed to listen to rap music.
Oh, wow.
So being from Detroit, everyone talks about Eminem, but the FCC won't let him be. Like a lot of the stuff that he was saying, I didn't know he was saying it because I heard the radio version.
Right.
So, but definitely Eminem. Lauryn Hill, just as a young woman, hearing her spit the way she did, it touched my soul. Like I can't even really describe it. And even to transition, like with Kanye West and Nicki Minaj, they were kind of like a new generation. They were after Eminem and Lauryn Hill, but to see them kind of like carry the torch. And now, I don't want to say they have sons now, but
yeah. Nah, they do.
Everyone has sons. And I think it's funny how influential the generation before you are, you know, coming up, like how much it impacts the music. Like you can hear influences in new artist music. That's
a fact. That's a fact. And, you know, we were talking a little earlier about the generational differences. Like, you know, before you heard Lauryn Hill, the Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, you saw her in the movie, right?
I knew her from Sister Act 2. That was my girl. Like, I didn't even know she could rap. I just knew her from singing in that music because she sang down.
Right.
Yeah.
And then when you found her music from Sister Act 2, what was that like for you?
It opened like a new door. So I can only imagine how some of the people today, like they know these actors. Like even with, for example, Queen Latifah, I knew her from Living Single and all those rom-coms. Yeah. So I didn't even know about UNITY for
Come
real.
On now. Yeah.
So speaking of that, we can transition to like female artists.
Yeah.
Do you have any favorite female MCs?
Oh, I like Rhapsody, artists from here. I like Mumu Fresh. There are a lot of artists from here that are different in their own right. Pinky Killicorn. TT the artist is not from here, but she stayed in Baltimore. Pinky Killicorn is from DC.
Shelly the MC.
Yes, you know, yeah.
It's like the list goes on. There's a lot of talent in
absolutely.
DMV.
Absolutely. It's just so much talent in this area that I don't understand why artists from Baltimore don't work with artists from DC, because it will bring this whole sound and have like a gumbo of music, eclectic music, you know, out for the world. I hope it happens though.
Well, I think sometimes with artists too, they feel like they have to leave where they're from to start popping for real. Like I was telling you, like I was a fan of Wale before I moved down here.
Yeah.
So then when I moved down here and I'm hearing go-go music, I'm like, I see it. I see why I mess with him so much. Like he has the band. That's what's, I don't want to say missing in other artists' music, but it set him apart from other artists.
Authenticity.
Yeah.
Authenticity is key. You know, sometimes people try to change their brand. Like, how many Nicki Minaj's came after Nicki Minaj? She set a whole new trend. It's a business, but when you are bringing authenticity, Swift Speed said something really impactful for me the other day. He was like, AI is going to force the consumer to go back to buying authentic music.
Hopefully, because this AI stuff is kind of scary.
Right?
For real.
Right? Right? It's giving people opportunity to really be original, you know, because if AI can write your songs, then how original are you?
But to your point about there being other artists after Nicki Minaj, I don't know if we would have gotten, everyone says Nicki Minaj kind of copied from Lil' Kim.
For sure.
But I don't think we would have gotten Nicki Minaj if there wasn't Lauryn Hill. Because I think that was one of her biggest inspirations, was being able to sing and rap. Like they tried to put Lauryn Hill in the box. They barely let the girl have a baby, you know, for putting out this album.
Right. She's still talking about that.
And now we have Cardi B, who was pregnant on stage. You know, it's like acceptable now. So if it wasn't for Lauryn Hill, would Cardi B have had the courage to, you know, do what she did? So that's definitely interesting.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
That's a great point. And it just goes to show, like, you know, women in the industry have a much harder time than men do.
Definitely.
You know, for sure. Because, you know, when you think about, you know, women in the industry, having kids and what that looks like to bounce back, and then also too, to put in the work and the time, it's difficult and it should be applauded, So like my next documentary, right, that we're working on is with Mamuna Youssef or Mumu Fresh. And she had a kid at a young age while touring with the Roots, and then end up touring with Common and having to raise that child. Right. And it's a phenomenal artist, so you think about an independent artist that is able to do that and able to continue their career. That's a strong person. Plus she's super talented, like even just pull up NPR's Tiny Desk, her Tiny Desk, she kills it, but she been killing it. But because she had a child at a young age, people are like, oh, I don't know, that's crazy.
And it shouldn't hinder us.
How many kids do men have within the music industry? Like, come on, I got 4, and I know me and my wife, we like play tennis, watching our kids and spending time with them. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what it should be about, But I think it is now.
It's more acceptable now.
Yeah, for sure. Especially with Toby Ngakwe and his wife.
Oh yeah, that's beautiful.
This fact, like he don't go anywhere without his kids. Like that's changing the industry norm, where the norm was come alone by yourself, not with your family, which is, sort of backwards.
And I think that's an important thing that needs to be incorporated in hip hop more. It's not just people sleeping around having babies. These are men with families who just so happen to make rap music.
Right.
So that's at least something that needs to be studied.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So another thing we want to talk about is the cultural impact that hip hop has. It's in one of your 5 pillars, but I think I saw this year hip hop, breakdancing is in the Olympics this year.
For sure.
So can we talk about like some of the different aspects that have incorporated hip hop?
Yeah, think about that, right? Breakdancing, which is 50 years old, right? And is dancing to some people now. It's an athletic competition. That's wild. Breakdancing is in the Olympics.
That started out in the heart
of the community, which they didn't think that, hip hop would even last. It was a fad. Oh, you watching that hippity hop? You doing that hippity hop? Yeah, now we're doing it in the Olympics.
And it only took 50 years.
Now think about that. In order for it to be in the Olympics, it has to be other countries that love hip hop so much to where they feel like it's enough top talent out there to put it in the Olympics. We're going to run the 100, meter, right? We're going to do the long distance. We're going to do the javelin. Now we breakdancing. How they going to judge that? Who's going to judge that? What's the rules for that?
Form, if you was locking and popping on beat, definitely. There's some criteria I'm sure they can think of.
I'm sure footwork got to be in there, Like, I can't wait to see it, because what that says is not only did we already know hip hop was the most influential music and culture, and just consume art form, within the world.
The most consumed genre.
The most consumed music genre within the world. Now the world knows. You got people in Asia who are dressing, like Black people, getting their haircuts like us and rapping like us,
Yeah, every K-pop group, I think, has a designated rapper in there. Or even if they're not a rapper, like they have someone that's going to spit for them. They don't have to, outsource from the group.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So just think about a platform and a genre of music that has the impact that hip hop has. There is none. So, I think hip hop is 50, hip hop is young, and hip hop is going to continue to grow. Like it's in the Olympics now. What's next? There's just so much further for it to go. LL Cool J is doing a great thing and making sure senior OG hip hop artists are being able to get paid and stuff, like still touring. Hip hop is also the only music genre that has ageism as well, which is crazy to me, but speaking again on LL, he's combating that by creating these tours and all these shows, you know, for artists. So not only we having those celebrations for the 50-year hip hop, that's got to happen every year.
It has to keep going.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So as one of the gatekeepers or historians of hip hop, where do you see the genre going like for the next 50 years?
Yeah, you know, as a curator of hip hop, I feel like the genre is just going to be, you know, up there with in the education system with everything else, because it's totally a business, right? So you can take the music industry as a business, hip hop as a business, and you could break that up into several classes. A class on design. Bishop McComarty just won Rip the Runway. He's from Baltimore. He used to design prom clothes for kids.
And he won Rip the Runway?
He just won Rip the Runway.
Oh, wow. I didn't even see that.
Yeah, he just won Rip the Runway. Like, it's already in fashion. It's been in fashion.
We got the fashion.
Yeah, they've been ripping off Dapper Dan. Jewelry.
Oh, yeah, we could go in on about Dapper Dan.
So now we're talking about making sure that it's curated correctly. And how do we do that? We got to educate people on it, because once you educate people on it and people have a clear understanding of how to make money from this, now, you know, we're talking about people such as ourselves, right? We may be practitioners, but we can also be educators within the college setting and teaching young people how to get money from fashion, right? Or how to incorporate that fashion with this artist who's at the school in the audio engineer program and writing music. And then we go over here to, you know, the people who are in the dance program, right? Like, there should be particular schools strictly for hip hop culture.
I could see that, because even if when you talk about the film aspect,
enjoying the revolution, he looked at me like I was stupid. I'm not stupid. So how do you do it? How'd you graduate so fast?
Lin-Manuel did his thing with Hamilton, but to me, I'm like, okay, does anybody know Carmen? Robert Townsend, Carmen, a hip opera?
Sweetness flowing like a faucet, body banging, no corset. Brothers wanna toss it, but they lost cause my gang made them forfeit. Slicker than a porpoise and thicker than the horses. Carmen Brown got the whole town speechless. I stick to my thesis, I stick to my features. Brothers try to hold, but the gang never.
Because that was like, I always liked musicals, but seeing what he did by making an opera, but with hip hop music, I'm like, this is art for me. To see Lin-Manuel do it, you know, 10, 15 years later with Hamilton, I'm like, yeah, this is what the kids need. Sometimes they don't want to read about this president from 100 years ago. Like, put it in their terms, make it for them so they can consume it.
Yeah, absolutely. Even like, you know, the new Wiz, right? They just premiered it here in Baltimore City, and it's about to go to Broadway, you know, so think about that. You know, in itself, it's on Broadway, is everywhere.
The representation, I think, is what really hones a lot of people into.
Absolutely. And it's not anything new. It's not new. Slaves were singing spirituals, how to get away.
Yes.
You know, it's not new. We're talking about people who were, you know, just ostracized and just, you know, beat down, but music kept people going or gave people information.
Hope. And gave them hope that they were leading to something, whether following their yellow brick road or, you know, but not to spoil the movie for anybody, but the Wiz doesn't have to be just some creature aside. Like, you got to work for yourself sometimes. You got to take yourself on the path you need to go to.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us today.
Hey, it was fun. I appreciate you for having me.
Thank you for coming. Thanks for schooling us. So thank you to Jimmie Thomas for joining us today and schooling us on the complexities of hip hop. In the words of the late, great, Notorious B.I.G., if you don't know, now you know. Thanks for joining us for another episode of Community Conversations.